Start Act 2 of the Crucible. We're going to cover page 850 through 858 in your text. And we're going to cover the Crucible in 2 days, so this would be the first day of Act 2. The setting is the Proctor's home, so all of Act 2 happens in one place, John Proctor's home. And my question to the class is, what do you think the mood is like in the Proctor home? Given what you know about what has happened in Act 1, what do you think the mood is like between John and his wife Elizabeth? And the answer is it's really awkward. It's awkward, it's uncomfortable. There's a lot of tension in the home because we know that there has been an affair between Abigail and John. Elizabeth knows about it. They have kept this quiet. Nobody else knows except for those three people, John, his wife Elizabeth, and Abigail. Now we know that Abigail has probably told her friends about it because we know she drank a charm to kill Elizabeth Proctor so that she could have John all to herself. So we know that her girlfriends probably know, but no one else in town does. And that is because we want to keep affairs and other things like that secret, because otherwise you would get a bad reputation in the town, because this is a very religious community. So keep that in the back of your head as you read.
Act 2. The common room of Proctor's house, 8 days later. At the right is a door opening on the fields outside. A fireplace is at the left, and behind it, a stairway leading upstairs. It is the low, dark, and rather long living room of the time. As the curtain rises, the room is empty. From above, Elizabeth is heard softly singing to the children. Presently, the door opens, and John Proctor enters, carrying his gun. He glances about the room as he comes toward the fireplace, then halts for an instant as he hears her singing. He continues on to the fireplace, leans the gun against the wall as he swings a pot out of the fire and smells it. Then he lifts out the ladle and tastes. He is not quite pleased. He reaches to a cupboard, takes a pinch of salt, and drops it into the pot. As he is tasting again, her footsteps are heard on the stair. He swings the pot into the fireplace and goes to a basin and washes his hands and face. Elizabeth enters.
What keeps you so late? It's almost dark.
We're planting far out to the forest edge.
Oh, you're done then?
Aye. Farm is seeded. The boys asleep.
Oh, they will be soon.
Pray now for a fair summer.
Aye,
Are you well today?
I am. Supper?
Aye.
It is a rabbit.
Oh, in Jonathan's trap.
No, she walked into the house this afternoon. I found her sitting in the corner like she come to visit.
That's a good sign, walking in.
Pray God. Hurt my heart to strip her, poor rabbit.
He's well seasoned.
I took great care. She's tender.
Aye. I think we'll see green fields soon. It's warm as blood beneath the clods.
That's well.
If the crop is good, I'll buy George Jacob's heifer. How would that please you?
Aye, it would.
I mean to please you, Elizabeth.
I know it, John.
Cider?
Aye.
This farm's a continent when you go foot by foot, dropping seeds into it.
Oh, it must be.
You ought to bring some flowers into the house.
Oh, I forgot. I will tomorrow.
It's winter in here yet. On Sunday next, let you come with me and we'll walk the farm together. I never see such a load of flowers on the earth. Lilacs have a purple smell. Lilac is the smell of nightfall, I think. Massachusetts is a beauty in the spring.
Aye, it is.
I think you're sad again, are you?
You come so late. I thought you'd gone to Salem this afternoon.
Why, I've no business in Salem.
You did speak of going earlier this week.
I thought better of it since.
Mary Warren's there today.
Why, Gilletta, you heard me forbid her to go to Salem anymore.
I couldn't stop her.
It is a fault. It is a fault, Elizabeth. You're the mistress here, not Mary Warren.
She frightened all my strength away.
Now may that mouse frighten you, Elizabeth,
Well,
you.
it is a mouse, no more. I forbid her go, and she raises up her chin like the daughter of a prince, and says to me, I must go to Salem, Goody Proctor. I'm an official of the court.
The court? What court?
Aye, it is a proper court they have now. They've sent 4 judges out of Boston, she says, weighty magistrates of the general court, and at the head sits the deputy governor of the province.
She's mad.
I would to God she were. There be 14 people in the jail now, she says, and they'll be tried, and the court have power to hang them too, she says.
And they'll not hang.
The deputy governor promised hanging if they'll not confess, John. The town's gone wild, I think. She speak of Abigail, and I thought she were a saint to hear her. Abigail brings the other girls into the court, and where she walks, the crowd will part like the sea for Israel. And folks are brought before 'em, and if they scream and howl and fall to the floor, the person's clapped in the jail for bewitching them.
It is a black mischief.
I think you must go to Salem, John. I think so. You must tell them it is a fraud.
Aye, it is surely.
Let you go to Ezekiel Cheever, he knows you well, and tell him what she said to you last week in her uncle's house. Oh, she said it had naught to do with witchcraft, did she not?
Aye, she did. She did.
God forbid you keep that from the court, John. I think they must be told.
Aye, they must. They must. It's a wonder they do believe her.
I would go to Salem now, John. Let you go tonight.
I'll think on it.
You cannot keep it, John.
I know I cannot keep it, I say. I will think on it.
Good then. Let you think on it.
I'm only wondering how I may prove what she told me, Elizabeth. If the girl's a saint now, I think it is not easy to prove she's fraud and the town gone so silly. She told it to me in a room alone. I have no proof for it.
You were alone with her?
For a moment alone, aye.
Why, then it is not as you told me.
For a moment. I say the others come in soon after.
Do as you wish, then.
Woman, I'll not have your suspicion
I
anymore.
have no
I'll not have it.
Then let you not earn it.
You doubt me yet.
John, if it were not Abigail, you must go to hurt. Would you falter now? I think not.
Now, look.
I see what I see, John.
Elizabeth, you will not judge me.
Okay, I want to pause here for just a second, just so that you can follow what's going on. Remember, this is a very tense situation in their marriage, right? Elizabeth and John Proctor at the beginning of the scene are tiptoeing around each other's feelings and trying their best not to offend one another and to be as polite as possible. They're making kind of like this awkward first date small talk, right? And they're talking about how the stew tastes and how the weather is and how if it's nice on Sunday, we should go pick some flowers together in the fields. And it's just all a little awkward. And then as they start talking, we know that John Proctor has, sorry, I'm hoping this will go away. There we go. Okay, John Proctor, remember when he was alone with Abigail, Abigail told him that this was all just show, that they were all faking it. And he has that knowledge. And now we know that people are being tried in court and people are being convicted. And Elizabeth knows that they will hang for these crimes if someone doesn't put a stop to it. So she says, John, it is your moral obligation to go to town and tell the court what you know, that this is, that Elizabeth told you it's all made up. He drags his feet. And of course, as a woman who has already been let down by her husband, who doesn't have a lot of faith in her husband right now. She already suspects him of, if he comes home late for dinner, she already suspects, where have you been? Have you been to Salem? Did you see Abigail? And so she says, you need to go tell the court. And when he drags his feet, her first thought is, you're dragging your feet because you still love her and you don't want to get her in trouble, right? And of course, it's not that. It's that if he goes, he'll have to reveal what he knows and that Abigail told him. And Abigail, who knows what she will do? She's a crazy 17-year-old girl who's, flying with her emotions, and she may reveal to the whole town about their affair, and he doesn't want that to come out. So there is something in it for him. He's trying to protect his own reputation by keeping this affair a secret, and so he's afraid of stirring the pot in case this comes back to hurt him. Okay, and so Elizabeth says, I see what I see, John, meaning if it were anybody other than Abigail that you were going to have to accuse of lying, you would probably not hesitate. But because it's Abigail, I feel like you're hesitating to protect her reputation and her feelings. And of course, he gets very angry with her because he's thinking, why don't you trust me anymore? But has he done anything to earn his trust back? No.
I have good reason to think before I charge fraud on Abigail, and I will think on it. Let you look to your own improvement before you go to judge your husband more. I have forgot Abigail.
And I...
Spare me! You forget nothing and forgive nothing. Learn charity, woman. I've gone tiptoe in this house all 7 months, and she is gone. I've not moved from there to there without I think to please you, and still an everlasting funeral marches round your heart. I cannot speak, but I'm doubted every moment judged for lies as though I come into a court when I come into this house.
John, you are not open with me. You saw her with a crowd, you said. Now you
I'll
say...
plead my honesty no more, Elizabeth.
John,
no
I am...
more! I should have roared you down when first you told me your suspicion, but I wilted, and like a Christian, I confessed. Confessed? Some dream I had must have mistaken you for God that day. Well, you're not. You're not, and let you remember it. Let you look sometimes for the goodness in me, and judge me not.
I do not judge you. The magistrate sits in your heart that judges you. I never thought you but a good man, John. Only somewhat bewildered.
Oh, Elizabeth, your justice would freeze beer. How do you go to Salem when I forbid it? Do you mock me? I'll whip you if you leave this house again.
I'm sick, Mr. Proctor. Pray hurt me not. My insides are all shuddery. I'm in the proceedings all day, sir.
And what of these proceedings here? When will you proceed to keep this house as you paid £9 a year to do, and my wife not wholly well?
I made a gift for you today, Goody Proctor. I had to sit long hours in the chair, and I passed the time with sewing.
Why, thank you.
Okay, I do want to point this out because all this stage direction is lost in the reading. Okay, so Mary Warren has just come back and she's been at court all day. Now, keep in mind, she's showing up to her boss's house pretty much an entire day late. She hasn't done any of her chores for the day. She also kind of lives in their house as like their housekeeper. And she shows up late. And, of course, John is furious because she's not doing what she's paid to do, and he's mad at her for going to town and just furthering this whole farce that they're up to, this whole scam that they're up to. And so he's like, I forbid you to go back to Salem, okay? We need to put a stop to this. And I want you to notice, remember, Mary Warren in the Act 1 was characterized as this meek and mild character. She rarely stood up for herself. She was the third wheel in the friendship between Abigail and Mercy Lewis and Mary Warren. She's like the third wheel. She's the friend that doesn't really speak up much, and she does whatever the other two tell her to do, right? Okay, and when she comes back after a long day at court, she gives Elizabeth a small rag doll that she's been sewing all day. This thing comes back to be very important. Also, if you read the stage direction as we go along, you'll notice like Elizabeth is very perplexed looking at the doll. Like, why are you giving me a doll? This is so out of character for you. All right, so listen carefully to how Mary Warren's character changes in this scene.
It's a fair puppet.
We must all love each other now, Goody Proctor.
Ah, indeed we must.
I'll get up early in the morning and clean the house. I must sleep now.
Mary, is it true there be 14 women arrested?
No, sir, there be 39 now.
she's weeping. What ails you, child?
Goody Osborne will hang.
Hang. Hang, you say?
Hang.
The deputy governor will permit it.
He sentenced her. He must. But not Sarah Good, for Sarah Good confessed, you see,
Confess to what?
that she sometimes made a compact with Lucifer and wrote her name in his black book with her blood and bound herself to torment Christians till God's thrown down and we must all worship hell forevermore.
But surely you know what a jabberer she is. Did you tell them that?
Mr. Proctor, in open court, she near choked us all to death.
How choked you?
She sent her spirit out.
Oh, Mary, Mary,
She tried to kill me many times, Goody Proctor.
I never heard you mention that before.
Well, I never knew it before. I never knew anything before. When she come into the court, I say to myself, I must not accuse this woman, for she sleep in ditches and so very old and poor. But then she sit there denying and denying. And I feel a misty coldness climbing up my back, and the skin of my skull begin to creep, and I feel a clamp around my neck, and I cannot breathe air. And then I hear a voice. A screaming voice, and it were my voice. And all at once I remembered everything she's done to me.
Why, what had she done to you?
So many times, Mr. Proctor, she come to this very door begging bread and a cup of cider. And mark this, whenever I turn her away empty, she mumbled.
Mumble? She may mumble and she's hungry.
What does she mumble? Oh, you must remember, Goody Proctor, last month, Monday, I think. She walked away, and I thought my guts would burst for 2 days after. Do you remember it?
Why, I do, I think.
So I told that to Judge Hathorne, and he asked her so. Sarah Good, says he, what curse do you mumble that this girl must fall sick after turning you away? And then she replies, why, your excellence, no curse at all. I only say my commandments. I hope I may say my commandments, says she.
And that's an upright answer.
But then Judge Hathorne say, recite for us your commandments. And of all of the 10, she could not say a single one. She never knew no commandments, and they had her in a flat lie.
And so condemned her.
Okay, so I want to stop here and make sure you understand what's happening, what Mary Warren is talking about. So if you recall, when we did our You're Accused activity, and we went through all of the choices that you had for if you were accused of witchcraft, you could flee the village, you could confess even though you knew you were innocent, you could deny your guilt and go to trial, you can refuse to do anything, you could try to get pregnant to see if that would help you. Now, she's saying that Sarah Good, one of the ladies, there's Sarah Good and Sarah Osborne. Sarah Osborne was convicted, and she's going to hang. So we know that person is dead, or is going to die. Sarah Good confessed, and I want you to remember that if somebody did confess, even though they were innocent, it's kind of like false confessions today. Sometimes you can strike a deal, and they will give you a lenient sentence. Because, you've cooperated with the court. So Sarah Good confessed to making a deal with the devil, to working for the devil, to writing her name in his book, and to being a witch, right? And they're talking about sending out your spirit. And this is the concept of, if you were a witch, you could put your spirit into that of a crow or a bird or a cat or some other animal, or just invisibly send your spirit out and attack another person. But your body would be in a totally different room, and so it would look as if you were innocent, right? And of course, all of the tools or the tests that they used to check for witchcraft, of course, we know today were not scientifically proven. They were kind of crazy. So they said if you could recite all 10 of your commandments, then you were not a witch. And so that's one of the tests that they give to Sarah Osborne, and they ask her to recite her commandments, but she can't recite them, and so therefore they assume that she must be a witch. She must have the devil in her if she's unable to recite her 10 commandments.
They must when she condemned herself.
But the proof, the proof!
I told you the proof. It's hard proof. It's hard as a rock. The judges said.
You will not go to the court again, Mary.
I must tell you, sir, I will be gone every day now. Amazed you do not see what weighty work we do.
What work you do? Strange work for a Christian girl to hang old women.
Mr. Proctor, they will not hang if they confess. Sarah Good will only sit in jail a while. There's a wonder for you. Think on this. Goody Good is pregnant.
Pregnant? Are they mad? The woman's near to 60.
They had Dr. Griggs examine her, and she's full to the brim. And smoking a pipe all these years and no husband either. Oh, she said, thank God, thou not hurt the innocent child, but be that not a marvel. You must see it, sir. It's God's work we do. So I'll be gone every day for some time now. I'm an official of the court, they say, and I'll
Official you!
I'll not stand whipping anymore.
Mary, promise now you'll stay at
The
home.
devil's loose in Salem, Mr. Proctor. We must discover where he's hiding.
I'll whip the devil out of you.
I saved her life today.
I am accused.
Someone mentioned, but I said I'd never seen no sign you ever sent your spirit out to hurt no one. And seeing as I do live so closely to you, they dismissed
Who
it.
accused me?
I'm bound by law. I cannot tell it. Only hope you'll not be so sarcastical no more. 4 judges and the king's deputy sat to dinner with us but an hour ago. I would have you speak civilly to me from this out.
Get to bed.
I will not be ordered to bed anymore, Mr. Proctor. I am 18 and a woman. However single,
You wish to sit up, then sit up.
I wish to go to bed.
Good night, then!
Good night.
All right, so I want to stop here and make sure you can see the change in Mary Warren. Keep in mind, that day that we read our article about Puritan women's rights, the fact was there were no rights for women back in the Puritan times. So they were not used to being able to have a voice or to make rules or even to speak up against their own husbands, especially if, or other men in the community. And so for Mary Warren, she has not known a lot of power in her life, and suddenly she is at the center of the court, and official men of the court, men of the law, are hanging on every word that she says and taking it for truth. So if she accuses someone, they listen, and I feel like for Mary Warren, this is a huge thing for her. And as ugly as it sounds, this sense of power has really changed her. And she even stands up to Mr. Proctor, her boss. And it wasn't uncommon. We said corporal punishment was like really common back in the Puritan times. And so it was not uncommon for someone like Mr. Proctor, who's not related to Mary Warren, to whip her because she works for him. So basically, he owns her. But in this instance, Mary Warren turns the tables and is like, no, I own you. The most important thing she said there is, I saved her life today. And she's talking about Elizabeth Proctor. Elizabeth Proctor's name came up in court, and she said, I've never seen her do anything wrong. And she stands up in defense for Elizabeth Proctor, and so that they won't, start talking about her name next, So she says, when she says that, she's basically saying, I own you now, Mr. Proctor. Don't talk to me that way. You will not whip me anymore. You will not tell me when to go to bed or what to do. I'll make my own decisions. And for Mary Warren, who's never had any sense of power, that is a very intoxicating feeling for her. And I think this is what makes her this is when her character starts to change. And Mr. Proctor and Elizabeth Proctor realize that she's right, that whatever she says is going to influence Elizabeth's future. So if they make Mary Warren mad, it could be very bad for Elizabeth. All she has to do is go to court and say, maybe I think my boss Elizabeth Proctor is a witch, and then it's all over for her.
The noose is up.
There'll be no noose.
She wants me dead. I knew all week it would come to this.
They dismissed it. You heard
And
her
what
say.
if tomorrow she will cry me out until they take me?
Sit you down.
She wants me dead, John, you know it.
I say sit down. Now, you must be wise, Elizabeth.
Oh, indeed.
Fear nothing. I'll find Ezekiel Cheever. I'll tell him she said it were all sport.
John, with so many in the jail, more than Cheever's help is needed now, I think. Would you favor me with this? Go to Abigail.
What am I to say to Abigail?
John, grant me this. You have a faulty understanding of young girls. There is a promise made in any bed.
What promise?
Spoke or silent. A promise is surely made, and she may dote on it now, I'm sure she does, and thinks to kill me than to take my place. It is her dearest hope, John, I know it. There be 1,000 names. Why does she call mine? There be a certain danger in calling such a name. I am no goody-good that sleeps in ditches, nor Osborne drunk and half-witted. She dare not call out such a farmer's wife, but there be monstrous profit in it. She thinks to take my place, John.
She cannot think it.
John, have you ever shown her somewhat of contempt? She cannot pass you in the church, but you will blush.
I may blush for my sin.
I think she sees another meaning in that blush.
And what see you? What see you, Elizabeth?
I think you be somewhat ashamed, for I am there and she's so close.
When will you know me, woman? Were I stone, I would have cracked for shame this 7 month.
Then go and tell her she's a whore. Whatever promise she may sense, break it, John, break it.
Then I'll go.
How unwillingly.
I will curse her hotter than the oldest cinder in hell, but pray begrudge me not my anger.
Your anger,
Woman, am I so base? Do you truly think me
I
base?
never called you base.
Then how do you charge me with such a promise? The promise a stallion gives a mare I gave that girl.
Then why do you anger with me when I bid you break it?
Because it speaks deceit, and I am honest. But I'll plead no more. I see now your spirit twists around the single error of my life, and I will never tear it free.
You will tear it free when you come to know that I will be your only wife, or no wife at all. She has an arrow in you yet, John Proctor, and you know it well.
Good evening.
All right, I'm going to stop it there. So here comes Mr. Hale, and we'll save this for the second section of Act 2. So I just want to make sure that you know Elizabeth pushes Proctor one last time. Go to Abigail. Make sure you speak to her roughly. Make sure she knows that you don't love her anymore, because a 17-year-old girl, she says, I think you have a faulty understanding of young women, John. And what she's saying by that is she's a 17-year-old girl. You were her first relationship. She's not going to get over you very quickly. And you may say that the affair is done, but in her mind, it's not. She probably thinks about the affair all the time. And Elizabeth knows that Abigail wants her dead, that Abigail is thinks that the only thing standing between her and happily ever after with John Proctor is Elizabeth. And so if she just kills Elizabeth, then she could be done with it. And it wouldn't take but a second for Abigail to mention Elizabeth's name in court before Elizabeth is tried, convicted, and hung. And that's the end of her, right? So she is desperate at this moment, knowing that her name's already been mentioned in court, for John to go set the record straight. Tell Ezekiel Cheever what he knows, that this whole thing is fake, and speak to Abigail and tell her to stop it, to get over it. All right, we're going to save the rest for next time.